Scott, talking Tom Brady, the 42-year-old quarterback set to become a free agent at the end of the season, even put his Boston area home on the market. All signs pointing to this perhaps being Tom's last season with the Patriots. But Brady said, hey, don't read into my house sale, and let's just focus right now on football.
If anything, the Patriots have taught me, it's, being in the present and not resting on what's happened in the past and certainly not worrying about what's happening in the future. I'm excited to get out there and play this year and do what I hope to do for this team, which is be a great leader, be a great example, be a great player. And then beyond that, it's not really, there's just too much work to be done between now and next season. So there's no point really worrying about it. That's how I feel.
All right, it's become almost the elephant in the room, but what are expectations for now Tom Brady, Bart, at age 42?
They're what they always are. To win a Super Bowl, they'll win the division again. I think the Jets are about a year away. They're going to play well. They don't beat themselves. And Tom Brady, at this point, he's like a Jedi. Right, he's doing more things more with his mind than he actually has to do with his body. But you do talk about how hard he works on his mechanics. He's a professional. Kind of reminds me of Dirk Nowitzki back in the day. I remember when they were playing the Heat, and they would say that after the game, Dirk would go put up 200 shots with his shot coach. Because Tom Brady is so smart and he's still working hard and he still loves the game. I think he's going to play at a high level. I think this team is starting to make a transition where they're going to be more like the teams that Tom Brady had at the beginning of his career, now that he had at the end, because you see they're starting to load up on defense, bringing back Jamie Collins, putting in Michael Bennett so that they can win those ugly games. Last year, they were something totally different offensively, where they ran, the ball the majority of the time and limited the possessions, and Tom only had to be great at the end of the year. At the end of the game, Sony Michel is somebody that I think is going to take a lot of pressure off his back. This year, I look forward to seeing Sony Michel in the passing game because he was coming off of that injury, from college, and now I think you're going to get more of him, a more complete, because it was kind of running back by committee. Whenever White was in, you knew it was a pass. Whenever any other guys were in, Burkhead, you knew it was going to be a run. Now I think they're going to keep you on your toes.
I like your breakdown.
A little better. I'm off the trash back.
A little bit better. A little bit better. You're trying to recover from the last segment. If you weren't with us, Bart was garbage in the last one.
Excellent.
But he's trying to recover.
Fresh from Miami.
But the thing about Tom is, and I love the fact in the soundbite, New England taught me how to not worry about next season, not trying to look back to what we did last season, but what we need to do now. Every team, every year in New England is totally different. I believe they're going to be a defensive team. The Jamie Collins name bringing up, I believe, is very important, because what they did from week 16 on last year, they just mauled people. Offense and defense. They went back to an 80s, 90s style. We're going to run it. And defensively, we're going to get after your quarterback through stunts, blitzes. We just believe that we're better schemed up than you are. If they have Dante Hightower and Jamie Collins at middle linebacker, they got 500 pounds at middle linebacker. So they're going to take you out of your run, and they are great blitzers for linebackers, because most of the running backs, 215 to 230. The linebacker gets a running start, they can run them straight over. So Belichick, to me, is going back to his old playbook. Tom knows that. They don't have a bunch of weapons on the outside. If they have to win a game, it's going to be by 4 corners. We're going to win it by special teams, playing smart football. We're just that much better at the X's and O's than teams. That's the way Tom tries to get back to his 4th straight Super Bowl, Nick.
And the Jamie Collins addition's a really interesting one, because he was traded mid-season. During a season, he made an all-pro team because, according to reports out of New England, he was doing his own thing too much.
Freestyle.
Right. He was freelancing. He was not doing your job.
He left, right?
Say it again?
Got that humble power when he left.
Right. He traded him to Cleveland, and now he comes back to the Patriots. They obviously assume that he will continue doing the things he does well while not freelancing to try to do his own thing. But the point you mentioned about Brady, that the mental part of the game is easy for him now, he said something similar in this radio interview, which is a really good spot, which was, he said the hard part for him is getting his body ready for the season. Because when he was asked about it, do you still want to play till you're 45? He said, yeah, that hasn't changed, but what is hard for me is getting ready physically. He said mentally, and it was kind of interesting, he said mentally, game's easy for me now. But for Brady physically, 3 straight Super Bowl appearances means 3 straight seasons with 3 extra games. 3 straight seasons where the season goes a month later than other people.
Where you have the shortest
3 straight seasons where you have the shortest off season. And so Brady dealing with that is a big part of what you expect from him this season.
If you look how easy it was for him to get to the Super Bowl, once they transitioned in week number 16, all he was doing was handing the ball off. Yep. He threw a couple passes in the fourth quarter. Tom Brady was not great in their little stretch run. Edelman was spectacular in the Super Bowl, and Gronk was very good late. But it was their running game, their running backs, and their defense. And this is the type of team that they're going to have this year. Tom does make a great point back to what you're saying. It's not being in the locker room with the guys. It's not once you make it to the regular season. Because I remember the day when I went to the field in South Florida. It was 98 degrees and humidity was in the 90s. And I remember calling my ex-wife at the time and saying, I don't know how much longer I can do this. It's not running out there for 70,000. Right. It's not I'm getting ready for a game. I don't know how much longer. And I remember training that day, and I could feel my heartbeat and my pulse in my temple. And it felt like I was getting ready to pass out. And it's like, how much longer do you want to push this? And that becomes the battle, man, when you get to that point as far as season. Because with 30% turnaround in the league, look at the defense he had to face in the AFC Championship. Who wouldn't want to play against them a whole bunch of games in Kansas City?
First time this year, banana in the tailpipe, man.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so how successful can Tom Brady now be as a game manager if we see him sort of transitioning into that from the quarterback?
Well, we see Drew Brees. He's a game manager. That's what you do now when you get these quarterbacks at advanced age, is you got to take a little bit off their plate. Because what happens is, as a great player, you can always be great, but can you be consistently great? And they don't want to ask him to be great the entire game. They don't expect him to carry it the entire game. We look at John Elway. He wasn't great. They turned it around to Terrell Davis, let him do his thing. Then when we need you to be great in those special parts where you can use your mind,
at the end.
Yeah, let's do that. Because if anything's going to break down first, and if it ever breaks down, it's going to be the end of him. It's going to be his lower body. If his lower body ever breaks down, he won't be able to be as accurate as he's been. And if he can continue to stay healthy and save himself, put him on that work management.
The reason why he should be a great game manager, because that's how he got started.
Yep.
He perfected game manager that they allowed him to start throwing the ball. He got so good. It's like, okay, wow, we need to give you more on your plate. He worked on his arm strength. He worked on his anticipation. So now, Tom Brady, to me, being the greatest quarterback, but also he's one of the few that's absent of ego. He doesn't have to throw the ball 50 times. Like Aaron Rodgers. If they don't throw it 50 times, Aaron Rodgers afterwards like, we should have thrown the ball more. So he would be the great game manager at this stage of his career because of all the things he's been taught there.
And it's really interesting just from a sports storyline perspective. If you look at Tom Brady's career almost as a circle that starts out great defense, running game, game manager. Halfway through 2011-ish was when he's setting, after Moss was there, set records, continued set records. Offense, Gronk, Hernandez, the whole nine. Not a great defense. Now we're back on year 20, and it's very similar stylistically to where it started. Be great in the spots. I'm sorry?
I can tell you got kids. You just seen Lion King.
Okay, yeah, exactly. Circle of life. Be very, be great in spots. Trust your defense. Trust your running game. And now he doesn't want it to end in year 20. He wants it to tick back over into year 22.
Right. That's why I wonder if he could do this and be this game manager, and if that's okay for Bill Belichick. If they're defense and they are winning.
It's footprints, right? He's carried that team, that organization for the last 8 years. Now it's time that they carry him a little bit.
Little Bible verse
there. Stick around, Bart. Coming up, is Dak's next contract about to cripple the Cowboys? That's next on First Things First.
You stepped out of the trash can.
I'm out.
That was professional life.
Okay.
That's the Bart that I know.
I got to get out that hangover, man.